Peace, Israel, and Yah bless. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. I would like to title today's segment / lesson, The 3-Day Resurrection Hustle. Once again, the title of this segment / lesson is The 3-Day Resurrection Hustle. Once again, brace yourselves, tighten up your jaws, do not turn to the left or to the right, or you will get hit in the mouth. We are to walk the straight and narrow way of the Most High's commandments. We are not to deviate to the right hand or to the left hand. All right. Last week we covered Passover. That will we explain clearly to the people who are listening, those who are of the house of Israel, that are of a contrite spirit, and those that are strangers, that are not of the house of Israel, but are of a contrite spirit, and that will take a hold of the Most High's laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts, and do them. Once you understand Passover, you understand clearly that no one can ever die for you. No one can die in your stead. Every man dies for his own sins. And we understand clearly that Passover was simply the children of Israel coming out of Egypt, and the Egyptians, the firstborn man and beast of Mizraim, that they were ransomed, that the house of Israel, the sons and daughters of the Most High, could be redeemed from the hands of the Pharaoh. It's very important that they do not teach us this, because once we understand this by going into the text and reading it, then the whole JC story, Christmas, and all this other stuff, him dying for us, it becomes exposed for exactly what it is, a Roman lie. All right, let's go ahead and deal with this 3-day resurrection concoction that they've made up. That way it can be made plain to all the people of the earth that this is nothing but a lie. Let's turn to Hosea chapter 6, verse 1. Hosea chapter 6, verse 1 reads, "Come and let us return unto Yah, for he has torn and he will heal us." Meaning that's the Most High busting us over the head. He also has the power to heal us. He will do evil unto us, and he will also do good unto us. There is no Satan doing evil unto you. It's the Most High breaking you off. Once again, verse 1, "Come and let us return unto Yah, for he has torn and he will heal us. He has smitten, busted us over the head, and he will bind us up. He will heal us. After 2 days, 2,000 years, will he revive us." To be revived means to be brought back alive, to be brought back to remembrance. After 2 days will he revive us. In the third day, he will raise us up. All right. So we're going to be in the midst of these nations, deaf and blind, meaning dumb. We will be dummies in the midst of these nations for 2.5 days. That's 2,500 years plus. In the third day, in the third 1,000 years of this ignorance, he is going to raise us up. We are currently in what we call the congregation of the dead. No wisdom, no knowledge, no understanding. No light by which we can see. Therefore we are deaf. Our understanding has not been returned unto us because we are walking contrary to the Most High's law, statutes, judgments, and precepts. However, in the third day, he's going to raise us up. Simply, we're going to be taken out of the congregation of the dead. We will no longer be deaf and blind walking around in these nations. Not to have the spirit of Yah and not to have his laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts before you. That simply means you have no light. You do not maneuver in righteousness. And if you're not maneuvering in righteousness, then you're maneuvering in sin. If you do not have that light, then you're maneuvering in darkness. It's very simple. So once again, let me read verse 2 so you understand clearly. No one has ever died for you. After 2 days will he revive us. He will wake up the entire nation of Israel, a congregation, a family, connected genetically, genealogy through the lineage that has been scattered all over the earth. After 2 days will he revive us. In the third day, he will raise us, the whole entire nation of Israel, that entire family, all 13 tribes. He is going to raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. What does that mean? That we will be before the Most High, living in his sight. He will be in the midst of his people forever. This will all transpire upon the face of the earth. This will not be done someplace in the sky. All right, let's turn to our Psalms 85. Psalms chapter 85. So we understand clearly that we're speaking of the Most High and the Most High alone and his people. We're not talking about the whole wide world and someone dying for you. All right, Psalms 85, we'll read verse 6. And verse 6 of Psalms 85 reads, Will thou not revive us again, that thy people may rejoice in thee? Of course he will revive us again. He will pour his spirit unto us again, that we will no longer be dead men walking around deaf and blind in these nations, not operating within the confines of his law. So we will be revived. Who is the we and who are the us that's being spoken of? It is the entire children of Israel that are of a contrite spirit that will return unto him. Simple as that. All right, let's move over to Jeremiah. We'll go to Jeremiah chapter 14. Jeremiah chapter 14, we will read verse 19, 20, and 21. And Jeremiah chapter 14 reads, at verse 19, it reads, Hast thou utterly rejected Judah? Has thy soul loathed Zion? Why hast thou smitten us? Most High is the one that has brought this evil upon the entire house of Israel. It is the Most High doing this, not Satan. The Most High does it all. He wounds, he heals. Okay, he kills, he makes alive. It's the Most High and the Most High alone. So here in Jeremiah, he's asking, oh yeah, have you utterly rejected Judah? Does your soul loathe Zion? Why have you smitten us? Why have you brought these evils upon us? And there is no healing for us. We looked for peace, and there is no good. And for the time of healing, and behold, trouble. There could be no peace for the children of Israel unless we're walking in that law, for the law grants peace. So if you're lacking peace, troubled in your mind, troubled in your home, troubled in your spirit, in order to be granted peace, you must turn to the Most High's laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts. So states this book. All right, verse 20. We acknowledge. Once again, this is a we thing. This is no one man called JC that's died for Israel. No such thing. This is a lie. This is the whole nation. We acknowledge, O Yah, our wickedness. We acknowledge that we have walked contrary to your law, and the iniquity of our fathers. For our fathers are nothing but us. They are us in the past generation. We are our fathers in this generation. For we have sinned against thee. We have walked contrary to his law, statutes, judgments, and precepts. Thus we are enduring his wrath. Verse 21. Do not abhor us, do not hate us, for thy name's sake. Do not disgrace the throne of thy glory. Remember, break not thy covenant with us. Most High doesn't have a covenant with JC, doesn't know who JC is. This is an idol. The Most High has a covenant with the house of Israel. A man by the name of Israel, whose former name was Jacob, who had 12 sons. And those 12 sons make up the house of Israel. Joseph being given a double portion. Now you have Ephraim and Manasseh. And so therefore you have 13 tribes of a family that is genetically connected. Not by belief, not by ideology, but by the genetics. All right. Let's move over to Hosea 11 and 1. We're going to get down to this thing in common sense. That way you can stop talking stupid about you're covered with the blood of JC and you're covered with the blood of the Lamb and JC died for you and all the other nonsense that I hear my people say. That makes absolutely no sense because they have not taken the time to go into this book and to read, validate, and to question the foolishness that they've been told by their enemies. All right, Hosea chapter 11, and we're going to verse 1. And verse 1 reads, when Israel was a child, Israel the nation, a young nation, then I loved him. Him who? The entire nation of Israel as a collective. All of those tribes, all 12 of them. And called my son out of Egypt. Who is his son? The entire nation of Israel is the son of the strong one of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not JC. So once again, if you want to know of the time that the Most High called his son out of Egypt, go to Exodus verse 22. He lets you know, Exodus chapter 4 verse 22. He lets you know exactly who his son is. And then you go read Exodus chapter 12, and he will let you know exactly when and how he brought his son, the entire house of Israel, all 12 families. Well, coming out of Egypt, we've got 13 because Joseph was in Egypt. And we have his two sons, and we know Joseph was given a double portion. That's how you come up to 13 tribes. All 13 of those tribes were brought out of Egypt, were ransomed when the Most High slayed the firstborn of everything, man and beast in Egypt, because the Pharaoh was holding the son of the Most High, was holding the servant of the Most High, was holding the Most High's firstborn, the children of Israel. And they are all connected via bloodline. They are brothers and sisters. No strangers can ever graft themselves into another person's genealogy. This is rubbish. So this is a really quick and simple and direct, something that you cannot refute, and you can't say, well, I didn't understand or I don't know. This is common sense. So you understand no man can ever die for the sins of another. The son of the living God, the son of the strong one of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is the entire nation of Israel. They are a family. It's not the whole world, and it's not everybody. Peace, Israel, and Yah bless. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is truth. And peace to the stranger that will take a hold of the Most High's laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts, and will do them, will adhere to them. Peace, Israel, and Yah bless.